I mean, Scott was initially built up as a great hero without any consideration of whether he had any failings or not. And Amundsen himself said when he found out that Scott had died, said Scott has now won, because Scott, everyone felt really bad about Scott and Kathleen and people, you know, and his son, and everyone to an extent forgot that Amundsen had got to the South Pole. And even when I lived in Norway, Amundsen wasn't that huge a thing, and when I lived in Germany when I was young, the English book that we read at school had a chapter specifically about Scott that focused on his final message and on the oaths saying, I'm just popping out for a while, I may be gone some time at this. And so initially it was totally uncritical, the view of Scott. Then obviously as the empire started to crumble, people started questioning more what people before them might or might not have done in the name of empire. Then a particular type of historian came into being, I suppose I call a mock historian in some of the things that I've said, who to an extent tried to sensationalise a lot of the stuff that happened and to say, well, actually these weren't just misguided people, they were bad people and they were trying to emphasise empire and stuff. And you know, having read everything about them, and well, not everything because there are hundreds and hundreds of books, having read an awful lot about them and having thought about it myself and having been lucky enough to see lots of archive material that the general public hasn't seen, my conclusion has been that they were very brave men, that they, and this includes Amundsen and people like that, because anyone who went out there 100 years ago was a nutter and very brave, you know, let's face it. That they achieved huge progress in science, especially the Scott expedition. I mean, that the hut is still there is a testament to that. I actually got to go down to the Antarctic and help work on the hut, digging trenches around it to stop water getting in that. And I planned to write a load of poetry while I was down there anyway. Came back after having been there in January 2008, read the poems, and I'd been writing before, and I thought, well, you should turn it into a novel really. But I didn't want a novel that was just history, because a lot of people get turned off by just historical novels because they feel they're being preached to. So I thought, if I can find a story in my head that builds something contemporary and a link to that past, then it'll be more accessible. The history will be more accessible for people. People like to read about contemporary relationships. And so I tried to do that.